You can sit anywhere you'd like. We're going to have some books and we're going to dance and sing some songs. The books might be a little, if they're too long or we get squared, feel free to come in and out. There's no problems. We have lots of room to roam, so you don't have to sit still if you don't want to. We're going to give some friends just a little extra time to get here, and then we'll get started. Did everybody have a fun week this week? Yeah? Did anybody get a break from school? That's fun. Did anybody go shopping? I did not. I didn't. How about eat a lot of food? I ate a lot of food. Yes, that was the best part. So much food. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. Everybody is ready. So hi, welcome to Super Saturday, the special exclusive Thanksgiving version, so it's just us guys. I'm Miss Jessica, and I'm so excited that we get to see each other in person. Normally, when I'm doing a story time, it's just me in here, and I have to sing and dance all by myself. So I'm so excited to have actual friends here with me today. So we're going to start with a little song just to get us in the mood for reading a book. It goes like this. If you want to read a book, clap your hands. If you want to read a book, clap your hands. If you want to read a book, listen up and take a look. If you want to read a book, clap your hands. If you want to read a book, stomp your feet. If you want to read a book, stomp your feet. If you want to read a book, listen up and take a look. If you want to read a book, stomp your feet. If you want to read a book, shout hooray, hooray! If you want to read a book, shout hooray, hooray! If you want to read a book, listen up and take a look. If you want to read a book, shout hooray, hooray! So are we ready to read a book? So listen up and take a look. Today we're reading books by my favorite children's book author. His name is Kevin Hinkes, and he writes a lot of fun stories that usually have characters that are mice. And one of my favorite characters, her name is Lily. And Lily reminds me a lot of me when I was little. She's a little rambunctious. So these are all books that feature Lily. So we're going to start with the first book where we meet Lily. We're going to see Lily get a baby brother. She doesn't handle it well. And then we're going to see Lily at school. And in between each book, we're going to do some fun songs and dances, okay? So the first book is called Chester's Way by Kevin Hinkes. Hello, my name is Chester. I like croquet and peanut butter and making my bed. Chester had his own way of doing things. He always cut his sandwiches diagonally. He always got out of bed on the same side, and he never left the house without double knotting his shoes. Chester always had the same thing for breakfast, toast with jam and peanut butter. And he always carried a miniature first aid kit in his back pocket, just in case. You definitely have a mind of your own, said Chester's mother. That's one way to put it, said Chester's father. Chester's best friend Wilson was exactly the same way. That's why they were best friends. Chester wouldn't play baseball unless Wilson played, and they never swung at the first pitch or slid headfirst. Wilson wouldn't ride his bike unless Chester wanted to, and they always used hand signals. If Chester was hungry, Wilson was too, but they rarely ate between meals. Some days I can't tell those two apart, said Wilson's mother. Me either, said Wilson's father. Chester and Wilson, Wilson and Chester, that's the way it was. They loved to go on picnics. Once when Wilson accidentally swallowed a watermelon seed and cried because he was afraid that a watermelon plant would grow inside him, Chester swallowed one too. Don't worry, said Chester. Now if you grow a watermelon plant, I'll grow one too. Chester duplicated his Christmas list every year and gave a copy to Wilson because they always wanted the same things anyway. For Halloween, they always dressed as things that went together. Salt and pepper shakers, 2 mittens on a string, ham and eggs. They really are 2 peas in a pod, said Chester's mother. Looks like it, said Chester's father. In spring, Chester and Wilson shared the same umbrella. In winter, they never threw snowballs at each other. In fall, they raked leaves together. And in summer, they reminded each other to wear sunscreen so they wouldn't burn. Chester and Wilson, Wilson and Chester, that's the way it was. And then Lily moved into the neighborhood. I'm Lily, I'm the queen, I like everything. Lily had her own way of doing things. I think she's about to shake some stuff up. She wore Band-Aids all over her arms and legs to look brave. She talked backwards to herself sometimes so no one would know what she was saying. And she never left the house without one of her nifty disguises. Lily waved at all the cars that passed by, even if she didn't know who was in them. And she always carried a loaded squirt gun in her back pocket, just in case. She definitely has a mind of her own, said Chester. That's one way to put it, said Wilson. When Lily asked Chester and Wilson to play, they said they were busy. When she called them up on the phone, they disguised their voices and said they weren't home. If Lily was walking on one side of the street, Chester and Wilson crossed to the other side and hid. She's something else, said Chester. Looks like it, said Wilson. One day, while Chester and Wilson were practicing their hand signals, some older boys rode by popping wheelies. They circled Chester and Wilson and yelled personal remarks. Chester and Wilson didn't know what to do. Just when they were about to give up hope, a fierce-looking cat with horrible fangs jumped out of the bushes and frightened the older boys away. Wonder who that is. Are you who I think you are? Chester asked the cat. Of course, the cat replied. Thank you, Lily, said Chester. You're welcome, Chester, said Lily. Thank you, Lily, said Wilson. You're welcome, Wilson, said Lily. I'm glad you were wearing a disguise, said Chester. And I'm glad you had your squirt gun, said Wilson. I always do, said Lily, just in case. Afterward, Chester invited Lily over for lunch. You have a muscle mouse cup, said Lily. Of course, said Chester. I do too, said Lily. Same here, said Wilson. Chester and Wilson cut their sandwiches diagonally. Lily asked Chester's mom if she had cookie cutters, and she made stars and flowers and bells. That's neat, said Chester. Wow, said Wilson. That night, Lily invited Chester and Wilson to sleep over. You have a nightlight, said Chester. Of course, said Lily. I do too, said Chester. Same here, said Wilson. Chester and Wilson wanted toast with jam and peanut butter for breakfast the next morning. Boring, said Lily. Try this instead. Do you see what she made? She made a little happy face out of her toast. This is good, said Chester. Wow, said Wilson. After that, when Lily asked Chester and Wilson to play, they said yes. When she called them up on the phone, they had pleasant conversations. And if Lily was walking on one side of the street, Chester and Wilson waved and ran to catch up with her. Chester and Wilson taught Lily hand signals, and she taught them how to pop wheelies. Lily taught Chester and Wilson how to talk backwards, and they taught her how to double knot her shoes. Some days I can't tell those three apart, said Lily's mother. Me either, said Lily's father. Chester and Wilson and Lily, Lily and Wilson and Chester. That's the way it was. For Halloween, they dressed as the 3 blind mice. For Christmas, Lily gave Chester and Wilson nifty disguises, and they gave her a box of multicolored shoelaces, extra long for double knotting. They loved to go on picnics. When Chester and Wilson told Lily about how they each swallowed a watermelon seed once, Lily swallowed 3 of them. I'll grow a watermelon plant for each of us, she said. In spring, Chester and Wilson and Lily shared the same umbrella. In winter, they never threw snowballs at each other. In fall, they raked leaves together. And in summer, they reminded each other to wear sunscreen so they wouldn't burn. Chester and Wilson and Lily. Lily and Wilson and Chester. That's the way it was. And then Victor moved into the neighborhood. So that's a new friend. Oh, aren't his books just so fun and funny? He makes the best jokes. But that was kind of a long book, and I don't know about you, but I kind of need a stretch. So I'm going to play us a fun song. So if everybody wants to stand up and dance, it's called Tootie Ta. And so it's going to tell us what to do in the song. So we ready?
A tootie ta, a tootie ta, a tootie ta ta.
A tootie ta, a tootie ta, a tootie ta ta.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
A tootie ta, a tootie ta, a tootie ta ta.
A tootie ta, a tootie ta, a tootie ta ta.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Elbows back.
Elbows back.
A tootie ta, a tootie ta, a tootie ta ta.
A tootie ta, a tootie ta, a tootie ta ta.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Elbows back.
Elbows back.
Feet apart.
Feet apart.
A tootie ta, a tootie ta, a tootie ta ta.
A tootie ta, a tootie ta, a tootie ta ta.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Elbows back.
Elbows back.
Feet apart.
Feet apart.
Knees together.
Knees together.
A tootie ta, a tootie ta, a tootie ta ta.
A tootie ta, a tootie ta, a tootie ta ta.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Elbows back.
Elbows back.
Feet apart.
Feet apart.
Knees together.
Knees together.
Bottoms up.
Bottoms up.
A tootie ta, a
Oh, it's
tootie
getting
ta,
silly
a
in here,
tootie
kids.
ta ta.
A tootie ta, a tootie ta, a tootie ta ta.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Elbows back.
Elbows back.
Feet apart.
Feet apart.
Knees together.
Knees together.
Bottoms up.
Bottoms up.
Tongue out.
Tongue out.
A tootie ta, a
Tootie ta, a tootie ta ta. A tootie ta, a tootie ta, a tootie ta ta.
thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Elbows back.
Elbows back.
Feet apart.
Feet apart.
Knees together.
Knees together.
Bottoms up.
Bottoms up.
Tongue out.
Tongue out.
Eyes shut.
Eyes shut.
A tootie ta, a tootie ta, a tootie ta ta.
A tootie ta, a tootie ta, a tootie ta ta.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Elbows back.
Elbows back.
Feet apart.
Feet apart.
Knees together.
Knees together.
Bottoms up.
Bottoms up.
Tongue out.
Tongue out.
Eyes shut.
Eyes shut.
Turn around.
Turn around. A tootie ta, a tootie ta,
A tootie ta ta.
a tootie ta, a tootie ta, a tootie ta ta.
Woo! Goodness. Woo! I think I knocked my microphone off, Friends. That's how hard I was a tootie-ton. Is that song funny? It definitely makes me feel funny. Oh, okay, speaking of funny, I have a book, another book about Lily. And in this book, Lily gets a new baby brother. Has anybody in here had a new baby brother? Or are you guys all the new babies? Well, don't get offended by this book, okay? She changes by the end. When I was 4, I got a baby brother, and I was so excited until I realized he was staying around. And then that was hard. We're best friends now, but man, I was a little bit like Lily. Whew, catching my breath from all the tootie-ton, friends. Julius, the Baby of the World by Kevin Hinkes. So warning, Lily does some things in here that aren't very nice. So Lily's not exactly somebody we want to emulate. We don't want to act like her. Julius, the Baby of the World. You mean that bump is going to be a baby? Ugh. Whew. Before Julius was born, Lily was the best big sister in the world. She gave him things, she told him secrets, and she sang lullabies to him every night. After Julius was born, it was a different story. Lily took her things back. She pinched his tail, and she yelled insulting comments into his crib. "I am the queen," said Lily, "and I hate Julius." Whew, that's ugly. But her parents loved him. They kissed his wet pink nose. They admired his small black eyes, and they stroked his sweet white fur. Lily thought his wet pink nose was slimy. She thought his small black eyes were beady, and she thought his sweet white fur was not so sweet, especially when he needed his diaper change. Julius is the baby of the world, chimed Lily's parents. Disgusting, said Lily. Lily had to share her room with Julius. After Julius goes away, do I get my room back, she asked. Julius isn't going anywhere, said Lily's mother. And he didn't. He stayed and stayed and stayed. Lily was supposed to be very quiet while Julius slept. After Julius goes away, can I talk like a normal person again? She shouted. Julius isn't going anywhere, said Lily's father. And he didn't. He stayed and stayed and stayed. We want Julius to grow up to be as extraordinary as you, said Lily's mother. So we must tell him constantly how beautiful he is and how much we love him. We love you, Julius. You're beautiful, Julius. When no one was looking, Lily had her own ideas. I hate you. You're ugly. We want Julius to grow up to be as clever as you, said Lily's father. So we must sing him his numbers and letters whenever possible. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When no one was looking, Lily had her own idea. 3, 8, 1, 5, 9, 6. A, J, K, Z, B, S, C, H. She's trying to tell him the wrong stuff. Rude. Lily's parents were more than a bit doubtful about leaving the two of them alone together. Lily tried to frighten Julius with her nifty disguises. She learned magic and tried to make him disappear. When that didn't work, she simply pretended that he didn't exist. Baby? What baby? I don't hear anything. Lily spent more time than usual in the uncooperative chair. Uh-oh. Does anybody have an uncooperative chair at home? I did. Lily's parents showered her with hugs and kisses and treats of all shapes and sizes. They even let her stay up 15 minutes later every night. It didn't matter. Nothing worked. I'm the queen, said Lily, and I hate Julius. Ooh, that's ugly. But her parents loved him. They kissed his wet pink nose, they admired his small black eyes, and they stroked his sweet white fur. Julius is the baby of the world, chimed Lily's parents. Disgusting, said Lily. Lily's parents were amused when Julius blew a bubble. Can you believe it? They exclaimed. But if Lily did the exact same thing, they said, Lily, let's mind our manners, please. Lily's parents were dazzled when Julius babbled and gurgled. Such a vocabulary, they exclaimed. But if Lily did the exact same thing, they said, Lily, let's act our age, please. Lily's parents were amazed when Julius screamed. What lung capacity, they exclaimed. But if Lily did the exact same thing, they said, Lily, let's restrain ourselves, please. One morning, while Lily was busy playing opera, her mother said, why don't you put some of that verbal exuberance to good use? Why don't you tell Julius a nice story? He's too little to understand a story, said Lily. He can understand it in his own way, said Lily's mother. Okay, said Lily, smiling. Uh-oh. Do you think this is going to be a nice story or a mean story? I think it's going to be a mean story. Julius, the germ of the world, by me, said Lily. Once upon a time, said Lily, there was a baby. His name was Julius. Julius was really a germ. Julius was like dust under your bed. If he was a number, he would be 0. If he was a food, he would be a raisin. 0 is nothing. A raisin tastes like dirt. The end, said Lily. The story earned her 10 minutes in the uncooperative chair. That was not nice. Lily warned her friends Chester and Wilson and Victor about babies. Trust me, they're dreadful, she said. She warned strangers about babies, too. You will live to regret that bump under your dress, she said. Lily ran away 7 times in one morning. I'm really leaving this time, she called. Who knows where they'll find me? The same afternoon, Lily had a tea party, and everyone came, everyone but Julius. His invitation must have been lost in the mail, she explained. Lily had glorious dreams about Julius and ghastly nightmares too. Lily's parents showered her with compliments and praise and niceties of all shapes and sizes. They even let her drink her juice out of the antique china cup. It didn't matter. Nothing worked. I am the queen, said Lily, and I hate Julius. But her parents loved him. They kissed his wet pink nose. They admired his small black eyes, and they stroked his sweet white fur. Julius is the baby of the world, chimed Lily's parents. Disgusting, said Lily. Ooh, she's not nice. It means gross, yucky. She thinks her brother's yucky. That's terrible. When Lily's mother felt up to it, she planned a festive celebration in honor of Julius. All the relatives came. There was quite a spread. Did anybody have a lot of family that they saw this week? Quite a spread? I did. What's the big deal, said Lily. Haven't they seen a silly lump before? Apparently not. All afternoon, the relatives hovered over Julius. They kissed his wet pink nose. They admired his small black eyes, and they stroked his sweet white fur. Disgusting, said Cousin Garland. What? Said Lily. Julius, said Cousin Garland. I think his wet pink nose is slimy. I think his small black eyes are beady. And I think his sweet white fur is not so sweet. He needs his diaper changed. Lily's nose twitched. Her eyes narrowed. Her fur stood on end and her tail quivered. You're talking about my brother, said Lily. And for your information, his nose is shiny, his eyes are sparkly, and his fur smells like perfume. Cousin Garland was speechless. He can blow bubbles, continued Lily. He can babble and gurgle, and he can scream better than anyone. Cousin Garland tried to slink out of the room. Stop, said Lily. I am the queen. Watch me closely. Lily picked up Julius. She kissed his wet pink nose. She admired his small black eyes, and she stroked his sweet white fur. Your turn, said Lily, handing Julius over to Cousin Garland. Kiss, admire, stroke, Lily commanded. Now repeat after me, said Lily. Julius is the baby of the world. Julius is the baby of the world, said Cousin Garland. Louder, said Lily. Julius is the baby of the world. And from then on, he was, in everyone's opinion, especially in Lily's. Oh, she finally came around, but she was awful in the beginning, wasn't she? She was a terrible big sister. I wasn't that bad, but I have to say I may have spent a little time in the uncooperative chair as well. So I have another song. This one is not quite so much dancing, but it's fun. It's a repeat song, and so it's going to see how well you guys can remember the words. All righty, if I can get my microphone to stay on. It's called My Mother is a Baker. Did anybody's mom bake for you this weekend?
My mother is a baker, a baker, a baker. My mother is a baker. She always goes like this. Yum, yum. My father is a trash man, a trash man, a trash man. My father is a trash man. He always goes like this. Yum, yum. P-U. My sister is a singer, a singer, a singer. My sister is a singer. She always goes like this. Yum, yum, P-U. La-di-da and toodly-doo. My brother is a cowboy, a cowboy, a cowboy. My brother is a cowboy. He always goes like this. Yum, yum, P-U. La-di-da and toodly-doo. Yahoo! My doggy is a licker, a licker, a licker. My doggy is a licker. He always goes like this. Yum, yum, P-U. La-di-da and toodly-doo. Yahoo! My kitty is a scratcher, a scratcher, a scratcher. My kitty is a scratcher. She always goes like this. Yum, yum, P-U. La-di-da and toodly-doo. Yahoo! My baby is a whiner, a whiner, a whiner. My baby is a whiner. He always goes like this. Yum, yum, P-U. La-di-da and toodly-doo. Yahoo! My engineer, an engineer, an engineer. My grandpa is an engineer. He always goes like this. Yum, yum, P-U, la-di-da, and a toodly-doo. Yahoo! Toot, toot. My grandma is a tickler, a tickler, a tickler. My grandma is a tickler. She always goes like this. Yum, yum, P-U, la-di-da, and a toodly-doo. Yahoo! Toot, toot. Tickle, 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 tickle.
The end. Okay, now our last Lily book. Thank you guys for being so patient and listening to the books. I know they're a little long, but I think they're so funny. We further on with our Lily journey. Now Lily's going to go to school. Do we think Lily's going to be a good student, a little naughty, maybe needs a lot of attention? We shall see. Lily's Purple Plastic Purse by Kevin Hinkes. Lily loved school. I love school. Wait for us. I see Chester, Wilson, and Victor. She loved the pointy pencils. She loved the squeaky chalk. And she loved the way her boots went clickety, click, click down the long, shiny hallways. Lily loved the privacy of her very own desk. She loved the fish sticks and chocolate milk every Friday in the lunchroom. And most of all, she loved her teacher, Mr. Slinger. Mr. Slinger was sharp as a tack. He wore artistic shirts, he wore glasses on a chain around his neck, and he wore a different colored tie for each day of the week. Wow, said Lily. That was just about all she could say. Wow. Instead of greeting students or good morning peoples, Mr. Slinger winked and said, howdy. He thought that desks in rows were old-fashioned and boring. Do you rodents think you can handle a semicircle? And he always provided the most tasty snacks, things that were curly and crunchy and cheesy. I want to be a teacher when I grow up, said Lily. Me too, said her friends Chester and Wilson and Victor. At home, Lily pretended to be Mr. Slinger. I am the teacher, she told her baby brother Julius. Listen up. Teachers know everything. Lily even wanted her own set of deluxe picture encyclopedias. What's with Lily? Asked her mother. I thought she wanted to be a surgeon or an ambulance driver or a diva, said her father. It must be because of her new teacher, Mr. Slinger, said her mother. Wow, said her father. That was just about all he could say. Wow. Whenever the students had free time, they were permitted to go to the light bulb lab in the back of the classroom. They expressed their ideas creatively through drawing and writing. Lily went often. She had a lot of ideas. She drew pictures of Mr. Slinger, and she wrote stories about him, too. During sharing time, Lily showed her creations to the entire class. Wow, said Mr. Slinger. That was just about all I could say. Wow. And at the very last second, Mr. Slinger saved the cold, starving elderly. Big, friendly Mr. Nice Man teacher. That's the name of her story. When Mr. Slinger had bus duty, Lily stood in line, even though she didn't ride the bus. Lily raised her hand more than anyone else in class, even if she didn't know the answer. And she volunteered to stay after school to clap for racers. I want to be a teacher when I grow up, said Lily. Excellent choice, said Mr. Slinger. One Monday morning, Lily came to school especially happy. She had gone shopping with her Grammy over the weekend. Lily had a new pair of movie star sunglasses, complete with glittery diamonds and a chain like Mr. Slinger's. She had 3 shiny quarters, and best of all, she had a brand new purple plastic purse that played a jaunty tune when it was opened. Lily wanted to show everyone. Not now, said Mr. Slinger. Listen to our story. Lily had a hard time listening. Lily really wanted to show everyone. Not now, said Mr. Slinger. Let's be considerate of our classmates. Lily had a hard time being considerate. Lily really wanted to show everyone. Not now, said Mr. Slinger. Wait until recess or sharing time. But Lily could not wait. The glasses were so glittery, the quarters were so shiny, and the purse played such nice music, not to mention how excellent it was for storing school supplies. Look, Lily whispered fiercely. Look, everyone, look what I've got. Everyone looked, including Mr. Slinger. He was not amused. I'll just keep your things at my desk until the end of the day, said Mr. Slinger. They'll be safe there, and then you can take them home. Lily's stomach lurched. She felt like crying. Her glasses were gone. Her quarters were gone. Her purple plastic purse was gone. Lily longed for her purse all morning. She was even too sad to eat the snack Mr. Slinger served before recess. That afternoon, Lily went to the light bulb lab. She was still very sad. She thought and she thought and she thought. And then she became angry. She thought and she thought and she thought some more, and then she became furious. She thought and she thought and she thought a bit longer, and then she drew a picture of Mr. Slinger. Oh, guys, I don't think this is going to be a good one. Big, fat, mean Mr. Stealing teacher. Thief, claws, bad, wanted by the FBI. P.S. I do not want to be a teacher when I grow up. Right before the last bell, Lily sneaked the drawing into Mr. Slinger's book bag. When all the students were buttoned and zipped and snapped and tied and ready to go home, Mr. Slinger strolled over to Lily and gave her purple plastic purse back. It's a beautiful purse, said Mr. Slinger. Your quarters are nice and jingly, and those glasses are absolutely fabulous. You may bring them back to school as long as you don't disturb the rest of the class. I do not want to be a teacher when I grow up, Lily said as she marched out of the classroom. Woo! Ugly, ugly, ugly. On the way home, Lily opened her purse. Her glasses and quarters were inside. And so was a note from Mr. Slinger. It said, "Today was a difficult day. Tomorrow will be better." There was also a small bag of tasty snacks at the bottom of the purse. Lily's stomach lurched. She felt like crying. She felt simply awful. Lily ran all the way home and told her mother and father everything. Oh, I think she feels bad about the drawing. Instead of watching her favorite cartoons, Lily decided to sit in the uncooperative chair. I'll stay here a million years for Mr. Slinger. Why does everything always happen to me? 1051, 1052, 1099. That night, Lily drew a new picture of Mr. Slinger and wrote a story about him, too. Lily was really, really sorry, so everyone forgave her, even her parents, even her stinky baby brother, even her especially incredible teacher. And then the sun shined its smiley face down on everyone and everything, even the bugs and worms. The end. It says, listen up, I forgive everyone. Could be principal. Lily's mother wrote a note, and Lily's father baked some tasty snacks for Lily to take to school the next day. How could he resist my no-frills cheese balls? I think Mr. Slinger will understand, said Lily's mother. I know he will, said Lily's father. The next morning, Lily got to school early. These are for you, Lily said to Mr. Slinger, because I'm really, 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 really sorry. Mr. Slinger read the story, and he looked at the picture, and he read the note, and he sampled the snacks. Wow, said Mr. Slinger. That was just about all he could say. Wow. What do you think we should do with this? Asked Mr. Slinger. Could we just throw it away? Asked Lily. Excellent idea, said Mr. Slinger. During sharing time, Lily demonstrated the many uses and unique qualities of her purple plastic purse, her shiny quarters, and her glittery movie star sunglasses. It's like having an extra pocket with a radio inside. 3 quarters are even better than $1 because they make noise. Glamorous protection from harmful rays. Then she did a little performance using them as props. It's called interpretive dance, said Lily. Mr. Slinger joined in. Wow, said the entire class. That was just about all they could say. Wow. Throughout the rest of the day, Lily's purse and quarters and sunglasses were tucked safely inside her desk. She peeked at them often, but did not disturb a soul. Right before the last bell rang, Mr. Slinger served Lily snacks to everyone's delight. What do you want to be when you grow up? Asked Mr. Slinger. A teacher, everyone responded. Lily's response was the loudest. Excellent choice, said Mr. Slinger. As the pupils filed out of the classroom, Lily held her purple plastic purse close to her heart. Mr. Slinger was right. It had been a better day. Lily ran and skipped and hopped and flew all the way home. She was so happy, and she really did want to be a teacher when she grew up. That is, when she didn't want to be a dancer, or surgeon, or an ambulance driver, or diva, or pilot, or hairdresser, or scuba diver. The end. Thank you. That's our last Lily book, and I have one last song for us to sing. It sounds like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, but it's called Special Me because you guys are also special, and I'm glad you were here.
Special, special me. I'm as special as can be. There is no one quite like me. I'm as good as I can be. Special, special, special me. I'm as special as can be.
Special, special, special me. I'm as special as can be. There is no one quite like me. I'm as good as I can be. Special, special, special me. I'm as special as can be.
Thank you guys. You were each so special, and you guys came to spend your Saturday with me, and that makes me feel special and happy. And if you are in the mood, I have set up in the craft room some supplies so that you can make a little mouse because our friend Lily is a mouse. So you fold up the paper, it looks like a heart, and you glue it shut, and you give your mouse a little ear, a little eye. You can draw a nose and whiskers, and you put your little tail, you glue it inside when you close it up. So if you guys want to go make a little mouse, you can. There's stuff in the craft room. And again, I'm so glad you got to come with me and see you in person for a story time. I got to dance with people. Makes it so much easier. And I have some books up here by Kevin Hinkes, and you can check these all out. He writes tons of books. I think he's so funny. These are mine from home. This one's not. You can go make a mousey? Squeak, squeak. Whew, I had trouble keeping my microphone on. I was dancing too hard.